Fantasy Rap
with Austin and Ozzy.
Oh, I just love those boys.
Hey everyone, this is Fantasy Rap, and I'm your host Ozzy.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
You can find us on fantasyrap.com. That is fantasywrap.com. Hey everybody, welcome to week 6 of the fantasy season, and we are going to start off with P's Picks. Hey everybody, we have Sutton here today. Hi Sutton. Hi Sutton.
Hi.
Hi. So last night was a football game. Did you watch? Yeah?
A little bit.
So it was San Francisco against Seattle. I'm going to let you choose who we're going to talk about.
I want to talk about this.
You want San Francisco? Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Can you say goodbye?
Bye.
And there you have it. Sutton decided that we should talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Did you see much of the game last night?
Yeah, I was kind of in and out. It was our first night sleeping in the new house, so making the baby woke up or was fighting going to sleep, so I had to run up and take care of that, and had friends over that were just in the neighborhood. They came over to see the new house, so just kind of caught the middle part of the game, I guess. So.
It was interesting because San Francisco of late has been choking away leads. They jump out to an early lead and then they choke it away. Mm-hmm. And they pretty much tried to do it again last night. Yep. So it was Seattle made a flurry toward the end and couldn't come out on top. So San Francisco won. And looking at the stats, Purdy was 18 of 25 for 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 rushes, 19 yards. Very in control.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like we said, Seattle just did not look very good. A lot of struggles on the offensive side of the ball. And, their defense hasn't been great. So it made it pretty easy for Purdy to do kind of what he does best, and that's kind of manage.
Yeah, manage the game.
I mean, the 3 touchdowns is really, obviously had the big one to Debo, that Debo broke for like 76 yards or something like that. So, there's a big one there. So it being pretty looked good. 18 to 25, only 25 attempts, but
right.
Again, they just didn't need to. So I thought he looked fine, and I had him and Kenneth Walker going last night on the same dynasty team, so pretty happy with the results I got out of those two.
Yeah, so. I imagine. Yeah, I mean, if we were going to look at Walker's stats, I mean, he had 8 catches.
Yeah, that's what saved
which
him.
Was huge. yeah, he didn't put up much
touchdown.
Well, right, but didn't put him up many yards.
Yep.
32 rushing and 37 receiving, but 8 catches, 8 points. Boom, you're a completely different story. Moving on, we've got Isaac Garendo.
Yeah.
10 rushes, 99 yards, no catches, no passes thrown his way. Would have had a touchdown.
Yeah.
He says that he was looking at the sideline as he was going down down the sidelines. He was looking over to, and people were telling him, get down, slide. And coach was saying, no, I would have liked to have seen him score the touchdown.
Yeah.
He also would have broken 100 yards.
Yeah.
It was.
It was funny. He slid and then used check scores.
Well, did he slide or did he get tackled and then he kind of? It was hard to tell.
I mean, the guy kind of hit his cleat, but to me it looked pretty deliberate that it was.
I thought so
a
too.
Slide. It was to kill the clock, and
right.
Yeah, so.
Which in that case you go up by more than a touchdown. Although I also agree it's not a bad idea with under 2 minutes to have the ball at the 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to run 3 plays. Granted, they had 2 timeouts.
Yep.
You're going to run 3 plays and kick a field goal and go up by 8.
Yep.
Or you're going to score the touchdown.
Yep.
Or I guess you could turn the ball over, but who knows?
Yeah.
Next up, Jordan Mason, 1 catch on 2 targets, 9 yards, 9 rushes, 73 yards. He had a good game going.
He did, and then came out. He's got an AC joint sprain, I believe, which, he was out, then came back in, and then immediately went back out and looked like he was in a lot of pain on the sideline there. So,
also known as a separated shoulder.
Yeah.
I've had one.
AC joint sprains doesn't sound so serious. So.
Yeah.
But so I mean, he's, probably, I would imagine, would miss at least a week, if not 2. Otherwise, if they're gonna,
it also depends on when CMC is back.
I just heard today that
he's back today.
Yeah, that would be nice.
From Austin.
Yes,
today.
From what I heard was he's targeting November.
Okay.
So I think it was like middle of November that he's targeting to come back. So yeah, I mean, Guarendo's probably going to be the number 1 waiver ad.
Very well could be
coming into the next week.
Yeah,
when waivers run, there's going to be guys spending a lot to get him. I guess we'll call it foresight. A little embarrassing rag on myself after a rookie draft in a different dynasty league. My other one that I'm in with Nick. They were hyping up Guarendo. Shanahan was talking. Really gassing him up, and so I went and I'm like, well, everybody's going to see this. I mean, CMC's had 2 seasons where he's been healthy, but, there's still always that possibility. They had Elijah Mitchell, and then he's on IR, I believe, as well, and, and Jordan Mason. So I was like, a guy who could potentially end up starting a couple games this year for San Francisco. So I spent like 65 fab on him. Nobody else bid. So I was like, well, but
I did
foresight.
that.
I saw it coming.
I did that with Keaton Mitchell last year. People were like, "What are you doing, blowing your money on Keaton Mitchell?" I said, "Well, first of all, he's the future.
Yep.
More than likely in Baltimore.
Yep.
But at the same time, you just never know with those running backs.
Yeah.
So." We've had the opportunity of seeing Isaac Guarendo because he was a Badger before he went to Maryland.
That sounds great. That sounds right, Maryland.
For his 6th or 7th year of football, because he redshirted like 10 of them.
Yeah. Probably got that COVID red shirt.
Yeah. He literally, I believe he was at Wisconsin for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then played 1 more year there at Maryland. Yep. So, to think that he's going to rush for 9.9 yards per carry, he was
pretty inefficient. He was at like 2.1 yards per carry before that big.
But we've never seen something like this out of Guarendo in college.
Oh, I always thought Guarendo was
I didn't.
Fast.
We always had a Braylon Allen, or we had who was before Braylon Allen? JT. We've had such good running backs that these guys never get. Guarendo was second or third fiddle to both of those guys.
I always thought when Guarendo had opportunities that he, to me, looked really good.
Okay.
And was fast, and obviously we saw he had some breakaway speed last night. So I think, like I said, I'm assuming he's going to be the number 1 waiver ad in every single league. So guys spending money on him, especially if they're already if they were the CMC manager and then they were the Jordan Mason manager. Might as well go for the trifecta, I guess.
Yeah. It depends on how long Mason's going to be out. If Mason's only going to be out a week or 2, a situation like I have in my 16-teamer where I've got Cook, Najee Harris, Singletary, and Jonathan Brooks. I can't carry a 5th. So, and someone, I don't know, someone may already have Guarendo. Moving on, we've got Debo. 3 catches on 5 targets, 102 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 rushes, 15 yards. Outside of the big home run, very, pedestrian stats.
Yeah. Had the big touchdown, and Ayuk, obviously, who had the huge game last week, isn't even on the list for our
Right.
stats because it was not worth
No,
even
no,
reporting.
no, because we had
Yeah.
two decent running backs
Yeah.
and a tight end who did better than all of them.
Yeah, and this San Francisco offense, like I believe we talked about last week, where it's pick a guy.
Yep.
Any week he could be the one who's, Shanahan likes to plan their game plan for one guy versus
But
this team.
but the nice thing is that if you've got CMC and CMC is playing, it's usually CMC and then someone else. It's it's rarely a two other guys. And CMC doesn't see anything. So generally it's CMC plus. And even so, Mason would have had a huge game had he stayed in there.
Yep.
I mean, I easily see him running for 150 yards in that game.
Oh yeah,
If not more.
It was 9 of 70. 9 carries for 73 yards.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty efficient.
Right.
And Debo, I mean, this is what was he last week? He had, was it 3 catches or 1 catch for? Debo didn't have that many targets last week either, and
Yeah.
believe he was on our duds list last week.
I think so.
So this is, like I said, the Niners are, obviously these teams are out to win games and use their personnel, who's the best and who's the best matchup for that week, which is frustrating for what we enjoy to do, trying to predict or guess,
Right.
So,
Flip a coin.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's nearly impossible with a lot of these teams in determining who the hot hand is going to be.
Yeah.
You might look at stuff like are they prone to giving up points to a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, that type of thing. But outside of some of the intelligence that goes into it, it's a guess.
Yep.
So, moving on, we've got the aforementioned Kittle, 5 catches on 6 targets, 58 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, tight end 1 on the year.
Yeah.
Just further put himself out ahead of the pack with
Yep.
this game. Obviously we've got games coming up.
Did the Lambeau leap too?
Oh, we did?
Twice.
Huh. Well, I saw there was the one who was it?
Juszczyk.
Yeah, Juice, when he scored, they had the wives were there right down on the
Yeah.
field, or basically on the field. but it was
He
against-
whacked him after Kittle's
Yeah.
first touchdown, and they both jumped in
Yep.
because both of their wives
Yeah.
were sitting there.
Yep. So I mean,
kind of
Kittle's
cool.
Yeah, he's been. I think he's been a little more consistent than he has been in years past, where it would be. I mean, the game that sticks out to me I think it was last season, in the playoffs, I believe he was like 3 catches for like 30 yards, but every catch was a touchdown.
Yeah.
So he had 3 touchdowns.
Right.
So he was he was up and low, and like
Yeah.
Kittle's floor last season was pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
But
1 or
then
2
the
points.
ceiling was tight end 1 by 8 points. On the week. So
Well, in
he's
this
been a little
year,
more consistent.
there has been complete inconsistency across the board with tight ends.
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know who's going to have a good game. Kittle, like you said, Kittle has been the best at it,
Yep.
and probably as of right now, the most consistent and the highest scoring.
Yeah, the other tight end that's actually been really consistent. I mean, he missed a game is Jake Ferguson. I mean, he's not scoring
Right, PPR
15
wise.
Yes, he's not scoring 15 plus, but he's anywhere from I think maybe week 1 he had like 9 points, and then he missed week 2. But every other week so far, he's had 10 or 11, I think 1 week as well. He had like 10, 11, and 12 points. So,
Gotcha.
Ferguson's been pretty consistent. But, Kittle, it's nice to see that he's been healthy, because that's been a big thing for him over the last couple seasons, is he always gets nicked up and misses a game or two, here or there.
4.
So, yeah. So, it's nice to see that he's, healthy, and I think that's what's contributing to his consistency. So,
Right. Moving on, we've got our picks of the week. Start with the quarterbacks that CBS says, and that's Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Dak, Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, and Joey Burrow. So I decided to go with CJ Stroud at New England. He is going to be without his top target.
Yep.
They still are dealing with injury at running back.
Yeah, Mixon.
Yep.
Yep.
So I think that he's still going to be, Stroud. The only way they beat him is, well, not the only way they beat him, but they're going to beat him in the air.
Yes.
Not on the ground.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think, Diggs is obviously, I guess we can say you're stacking
I'm
again.
stacking. I'm
So
stacking
Diggs
again.
is your
I'm going
wide
with Diggs
receiver.
as the wide receiver
Yeah.
because Nico Collins is hurt.
Yep. I think
Tank Dell is good, but
yeah, I think he'll have maybe not a huge breakout, but maybe a little return to form because he's been. He is coming off of a broken ankle last season, and I think
ankle or leg?
I thought it was his ankle. It was kind of same thing as like Pacheco, where it's like the bottom, like ankle, fibula, tibia, whatever.
Fibula.
down there. Yeah. Fibula,
Well, that's what an ankle
But,
is.
yes.
I mean, the ankle is just
Yes.
the end of the fibula.
Yeah, so it was that.
I
injury,
only
but-
know
he
because
did
I
it,
snapped
yes.
mine off.
Yeah, so it was that, and then didn't Tank Dell didn't he get shot in the off season? I thought he got no.
Not that I know of.
Oh, I thought he did, but
No.
yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. Sorry. Allegedly, I thought I heard that he had gotten shot.
Wow. Sorry, Tank.
So, yeah, I could have swore it was in the leg or something, but I guess not. But yeah, so Diggs
No,
is
someone
necessity.
did. Someone did
Well-
have a through and through on the leg, I thought, but
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I thought it was Tank Dell. But
Okay.
anyways, yeah, so, the Stroud Diggs stack should pay off pretty nicely this week. Just, necessity. Like I said, I think Tank, he'll have a good game as well. Again, just, target consolidation. Wouldn't be surprised to see if, like, Dalton Schultz scores a touchdown, which,
That'd be nice.
in this year for the tight ends, if you score a touchdown, you're already in like the top 8. So you could be one catch for 2 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
and you're in
hey,
the top
I would
tight
take
end.
that
Yeah.
because he's been getting about 3 or 4 points a week for me on because we aren't PPR, so
Yep.
it's strict yardage, and
Yep.
that's all he gets, 30, 40 yards.
Yep. So I'm going with Caleb Williams, the rookie. Chicago looked pretty good. Granted, it was against Carolina. But
And
again, like we said,
Indy before that.
and Indy before that. But like we said, Carolina, has been a different team since Andy Dalton. So I was expecting a little more fight out of them. But, the defense kept Caleb comfortable, like he wasn't having to go out and win a game.
Right.
So, obviously
That
DJ
helps.
Moore had a monster game last week.
Thank
so,
you, DJ Moore.
Yep, I had him in a dynasty as well. So, so I think they keep it going. They are playing in London, the early game. So we'll see how they all adjust and they
Well.
go. And Jacksonville's just been so bad this season. They're really bad. So I think Williams will be able to keep it going against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think as much as I thought they might be not getting what they were hoping that they were getting, it looks like they are.
Yeah.
It looks like he is a good thrower. He scrambles when he needs to. He hasn't made any stupid plays of late.
Yeah.
So when you can control that, look at Rodgers last week.
Yeah.
You throw 3 interceptions, you're a dud.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You throw 3 interceptions and you're throwing the ball away, and Williams hasn't been doing that the last couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Yep.
Next, we move on to our running backs. We've got Saquon, we've got King Henry, we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, we've got Chuba Hubbard, Bijan, and Josh Jacobs. So I am going to go with Alvin Kamara, who was removed from the injury report,
Nice.
and I've got him in 2 of my leagues. They're without Carr, so you're going to see a lot of dump off passes.
Yep.
You're going to see a lot of handoffs. I would not want to have to play Olave this week.
No.
Unfortunately, I have to.
I have to in my other dynasty as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Neighbors is out
Yep.
again this week, so I am stuck playing Olave. So I think that Kamara will have probably, I think he might have one of his better games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay's defense hasn't been what it's been in the past either. So,
Right.
They're definitely beatable. And again, if you're going to try and keep Rattler, safe back there, it's going to be handoffs and
Dump offs,
quick
yeah.
passes and get the ball out of his hands as fast as he can. So, I agree. I think Kamara should have. I mean, it's be his second best game of the week or the season, maybe, because it's going to be hard to beat that.
That's true.
That Dallas game.
That's true. That's true.
So,
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, my start of the week is against, in my opinion, arguably the worst run defense in the league, and that's Indy. So I'm going Tony Pollard.
I thought you were going to say Green Bay.
No, Indy's
No,
pretty
Green
bad.
Bay's actually not bad. This year.
Indy's pretty bad against the run.
Yeah.
Pollard has. Haven't seen a whole lot of Spears. Spears has been, I think he's been a little nicked up, and so he hasn't played as much. Sounds like there's some talk that they're going to try and get him a little more involved because they're coming out of their bye week. But I think Pollard does seem to work a little better when he's in more of a timeshare. But I think it's going to be like 70-30 split between the two,
Which is a good number for him.
Yeah, it gives them a chance to just take a breather and rest a little bit. If Spears takes a couple snaps or takes, even if he takes a drive and they go 3 and out, or they get 1 first down and then go, and have to punt. I mean, it just
Or they
gives them
score
a
the
little-
other tutty of the game and he gets it.
could be it as
Just kidding.
well. But I mean, like I said, Indy, Jacobs ran all over them. Other running backs have exploited that defense. So I think Pollard's going to have a very nice week this week.
I agree. Moving on to our wide receivers, we've got Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Jaden Reed, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Brown,
Yeah.
and DJ Moore, which
All right.
DJ Moore surprises me a little bit, but he's coming off a great week last week, and
Yep. The matchup. Yeah.
the matchup and everything. Hopefully, I've got him in one of my leagues, and he'll be playing again. So I decided, as we already said, on Diggs, and we've already talked about him. So
All right. I'm going with Terry McLaurin against Baltimore. I think this is actually going to be a pretty good game. Baltimore's defense is not, again, I know I keep saying not what they used to be, but I mean, Baltimore's defense, you saw what Joe Burrow, that game last week.
5 touchdowns.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that Bengals Ravens game. I saw a comment. Somebody said it was like watching a SEC,
Yeah.
football game or a Big 12.
No
football
defense,
game,
all offense.
Yeah, it was like Oklahoma, Texas Tech, where it's like the final score is like 62-57 or something crazy like that because there's no defense.
Right.
So that's been Baltimore. So I like Terry. Him and Jaden Daniels have been clicking over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully they keep that going. And Terry, he's getting multiple deep shot targets as well.
Yeah.
So there's the chance of you can get that multiplier with a 40 plus or whatever
Right.
the yardage that you set in your league for that extra point or two or however you do it. So there's always that big play potential as well. But he could also PPR his way to a really good game as well.
Right. Next, we've got our tight ends. We've got Tucker Kraft, Brock Bowers, Dallas Goedert, Isaiah Likely, Sam Laporta, and Mr. Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go with Kincaid, Dalton Kincaid at the Jets.
Yeah.
They have not really looked that good defensively. Sauce was eaten last week by JJ in my mind.
Yeah.
And between running it, which I think they're going to have to do against the Jets, I think Kincaid is going to be that drop off that Josh Allen uses.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and they need him. Shakir, I don't know if he's healthy again or not, but if he misses, I mean, he's been about the only receiver that's been heavily targeted when he's been healthy. Coleman has scored like 2 touchdowns, but it's been like 1 catch.
Right.
That's his his only target essentially as well. So
I mean, they just they need a win.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
they've looked horrible the last 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah.
So
well, I mean, you get kicked in the teeth by Derrick Henry.
literally.
It takes you gotta recover from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Kincaid, like, again, out of necessity, they've got to find somebody to help kickstart the pass attack, whether it's also, using Cook, what he's really good at as well, which is out of the backfield, and getting Kincaid involved, and allowing Josh Allen to not have to play hero ball all the time.
Right.
So
I mean, as a Cook owner, I'm happy that they don't really have wide receivers.
Well, that's true.
But as a fan of the sport, and if I were a fan of the Bills, I'd be screaming, because you are not putting receivers out there for in my mind, one of the best QBs out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, the previous 2 years, the beginning 75% of the season, him and Stephon Diggs were putting up crazy numbers, and then Diggs would fall off.
Well, and he's always, over the past 2-3 years, he's been a top 2 or 3 quarterback in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to see that this year.
No, unless they go out and find somebody.
Trade for Devontae?
Devontae, I mean, it sounds
they need something.
I think if Cleveland...
Amari Cooper.
If they lose this week, which that's my guess is they're going to, Amari Cooper's probably going to be out there available. I mean, I think him and Josh Allen would be a really good pairing.
Romeo Dot. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean...
Said that last week, didn't I?
Yeah. But, I think, like, Cooper for, probably not having to pay the price you would for Devontae.
Right.
It immediately helps the Bills. So, I mean, and the Bills' defense has been, destroyed with injuries, and somebody got suspended. Oh, Von Miller's, I think he's got 3 weeks left on his suspension for, I think it was misconduct or something like that. So, they've been, like I said, Allen's been having to play hero ball, and that's when he gets in trouble with turnovers and bad decisions, bad throws.
A lot of guys do.
Yeah. So, yep. I'm gonna stack here. I'm gonna go quarterback.
These darn stacks.
Yeah, quarterback, tight end, going Cole Kmet against Jacksonville. I mean, I think pretty much everybody's healthy on that offense. Keenan played last week. Adunze played. Obviously DJ Moore was the one who had the big game.
Swift had a big game.
And like I said, I think in London against Jacksonville, they're gonna come in and have a really good offensive. I mean, we know their defense, or at least their secondary, is very good.
Right.
So Jacksonville will have to try and win it through ETN and Tank Bigsby. But yeah, I think Kmet's one of those guys, last year with Fields was one of those guys that would just blow up for 30 points, because he'd have 2 touchdowns and 60 yards or something, like something crazy.
Yeah.
So, he's got the capability, and, and him and Caleb, I mean, Kmet's been fairly consistent as well. He had a 20-point game like 2 weeks ago, but Kmet's been fairly consistent.
Yeah, they're working toward that connection. Yep. I don't think it's quite there yet. I mean, maybe it is now, but at the beginning, Kmet was pretty much transparent. I mean, you didn't even know he was there.
They still have Gerald Everett, and they brought him in, and everybody, because their OC, I believe, don't
they have Mercedes Lewis too?
Big Dog, I think he's still there. Yeah, because he set the record, right, for seasons played. Right.
Seasons or games played. Some crazy number.
Yeah, so I think he's still there. But, I mean, we know what Mercedes, he's a blocking guy. Yeah. He's just,
Come on, he catches one here and there.
Yeah, exactly. But, Gerald Everett came in, and everybody thought Everett was going to be the guy because he's tied to somebody in that coaching staff over there. He's kind of followed that guy around. But then, they realized, Gerald Everett's getting a little older, just doesn't have the juice anymore. And, like I said, Kmet's he's a pretty good tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got our love 'em, flip 'em, leave 'em. And I'm throwing out there Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, and Jordan Love.
Ooh.
Wanted to make it difficult. Yeah. All are projected to have similar remainders of the season. And, I haven't really looked at schedule of the 3 of them. Mm-hmm. But I'm not, I like Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to have big ups and big downs.
Yeah.
Like he usually does.
Yep.
So I don't know that I really want him. I don't know about CJ Stroud without Nico Collins for 4+ weeks. I'm almost wanting, and this is not me being a homer.
Yeah,
No, not me being a homer, because it's like I've told people, it is rare in fantasy football that I even draft a Packer player.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got Tucker Kraft on 2 of my teams right now out of necessity. Yep. One was because I had Laporta, and Laporta had the bye.
Yeah.
And then, was that last week they were on bye?
Yep.
So I had to have him. And so I played him, and now I might play him again.
Yeah.
Because he might do better than
Laporta.
Yep. And in the other one, it was I drafted him as my second or third or fourth because I have Pitts, and I had drafted Dulcich, who before he got injured was looking like he was going to be a stud.
Yep.
So I had Kraft. I mean, Kraft was on my taxi squad last year, so he didn't play at all, and now I've started playing him a little bit. You know, when you've got Pitts and him. So, but other than that, I mean, I am not one who normally says I want to go out and get Packer players. Yeah. And there are people out there that, I got to have my blah 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 player. Yeah. So when I say Jordan Love, I think it's because of the situation around him.
Yep.
I think it's the coaching. I think it's the number of targets that he's got, where he doesn't have to worry about pecking order. Yeah. Although, Dobbs is a little unhappy, Christian Watson is injured, but it rarely matters. He constantly puts up decent numbers regardless.
I saw it in the Minnesota game. He started out really bad.
Yeah.
And then he still ended up having a very good fantasy.
Yeah, 300 and some yards passing and, 3 or 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, and it's fantasy. It's not, it's not whether or not they win or lose the game. It's not. It's the points that they score in the fantasy week.
Yep.
You could throw 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions. If you throw 5 or 6 touchdowns, it more than makes up for it.
Yep.
If you throw for 509 yards and 4 touchdowns, you're crushing it.
Yeah.
So I just think that the situations because you look at past CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, I mean, Tolbert's looked good.
Yeah, but he's not.
And then Jake Ferguson, and then their rush attack is not very good. I know Dowdle had a big week last week, but it was receiving, out of the backfield that got him the bigger week.
But that makes Dak valuable.
Yes,
if he can do that. But I look at the Packers and I say, name me one of the top 4 receivers who isn't better than Tolbert.
Oh, Tolbert? Oh, yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
so we've got 3 or 4 guys who are better receivers, in my mind, than Dallas does. Yeah. So that's why I'm not going with them. Yeah. And with Nico Collins out, I just don't know. Stroud hasn't looked the same as he did last year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that was kind of the thing with Stroud coming into the season for the draft, at least redraft and stuff, was the price you have to pay. You basically have to get what he was last season.
Right.
And he just hasn't been.
And that's true of everyone in a redraft league. I mean, look at the guys that are kicking themselves who drafted CMC first, or who drafted.
Yes. I mean,
it's true regardless.
Yes.
Whether they
it's
do
injury or
right,
or whatever. Yes.
Right. It's always based on last year, as opposed to you'd like to see a better idea of what could happen. I mean, the second year of a wide receiver's career, usually a down year, and then they pick it up in the third year.
Yep.
So I mean, some of that stuff you have to take into account. And is a Neighbors going to go top 8 next year? Very possibly.
Yeah.
Because of what he's doing this year.
Yeah.
and he may fall into that sophomore slump that we see out of so many wide receivers. And you have to kind of take that into account when you're drafting.
Yep.
Let the people who go namely on name recognition and draft these guys way ahead of you, and you can get the guys that are good players at different places.
Yep. Yeah. So the name recognition is why I would flip Stroud in this. You go, hey, Nico's back in 4 weeks.
Right.
And you go off that. I mean, it's the same thing that I did in the Dynasty League with Nick, where I traded away Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And when the trade, when the other guy accepted it, the whole group chat in that league was like, oh wow, and even Nick, our friend of the show, was like, yeah, this changes the whole identity of your team or the outlook of your team and everything. And I got Puka, Kenneth Walker, who's been. Granted, the 8 catches saved him this year or this week, but 2 weeks ago had the 3 touchdowns, monster performance, and I got a first rounder as well. I probably could have maybe got another pick, maybe a second rounder, but I didn't want to push too hard.
Right.
But and again, that was name alone, because Mahomes he's been an average fantasy quarterback at best. I think he's been a streaming quarterback for the last season and a half going into last season.
Yeah.
He's been a matchup based quarterback. Especially losing Rashee Rice, and seemingly they're not going to be able to pry Devontae away from the Raiders, because the Raiders don't want to deal in division,
and they can't afford it.
Yes, that's true.
You can try and move some monies around, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. So I agree. I think we're gonna love,
yeah, love them.
Yep.
Stroud them and Prescott them. That's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
So if you have any questions on that, or you disagree with us, let us know. Otherwise, this is, hopefully you watch us or you listen to us. And if you're hearing this, you are either watching us or listening to us. So
that's how it works.
it is. It's really weird how that works. So I am Ozzy.
And I'm Austin.
Have a great week.
See you later.